Imagine this scenario. You've just been friend-zoned for the 100th time. You sigh and think, when will I ever get a girlfriend? If only I were the absolute most handsome guy on the planet. You drift off to sleep feeling defeated. But plot twist, the universe listened to your wild plea. You wake up as the undisputed most handsome man on Earth. Why? Because you are the only man left. Every other dude has mysteriously vanished into thin air overnight. So, what happens to the world? Let's break down this ultimate fantasy turned sci-fi nightmare. First, let's look at the global math. Currently, the global human population is roughly a 50-50 split between males and females. But overnight, the male demographic drops to absolute zero except for you, the sole surviving male. Politically, things would shift dramatically. Right now, only a tiny fraction of countries have female heads. With women instantly taking over every government seat, global political dynamics would change forever. Many leading psychologists argue that a strictly female-led world might actually be significantly safer. We would likely witness a massive immediate drop in nuclear standoffs and aggressive military campaigns. Diplomacy, empathy, and open communication would become the primary tools for international relations. And it's not just global warfare that would take a nosedive, the everyday street crime rate would plummet. Historical statistics clearly show that a vast majority of violent crimes and severe arrests involve men. In fact, a comprehensive global survey highlighted that around 85% of arrests were male. Psychologists suggest this is largely due to biological differences in impulse control and aggression levels. So, a world without the male population would theoretically transform into a much more peaceful, safe society. But hold on, it's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows. This sudden gender vacuum would crash the economy. Certain crucial heavy industries are currently heavily male-dominated, and they would face immediate collapse. Think about critical infrastructure, civil engineering, deep-sea mining, offshore oil drilling, and construction. These essential sectors would grind to an absolute halt, causing massive supply chain disruptions worldwide. However, this industrial paralysis would only be temporary. Women would quickly step up to fill these roles. Emergency training programs would fast-track female engineers, miners, and builders to keep society functioning. Another massive global hurdle? The aviation industry. The skies would suddenly become incredibly, eerily quiet. A staggering, overwhelming majority of commercial airline pilots operating worldwide right now are currently men. In North America alone, female pilots make up only a tiny fraction, roughly 4 to 5% of the crew. Until thousands of women are rigorously trained to fly commercial jets, global air travel would be paralyzed. Global logistics, international trade, and luxury tourism would face a catastrophic bottleneck unlike any other. But enough about the collapsing world economy. Let's shift focus and talk about the real star of the show, you. What exactly happens to your daily life as the absolute last, desperately lonely bro standing on planet Earth? At first, you'd probably be incredibly depressed. No more epic boys' nights out, no more online gaming buddies, no one to grab a cold beer with after getting rejected. The sheer loneliness would hit you like a freight train. But that profound sadness? It wouldn't last very long. Soon, the entire world would realize you actually exist. You would instantly become the ultimate, most heavily guarded, exclusive celebrity in the history of humankind. Rejection? That's a thing of the past. You have literally zero competition. The entire dating pool is all yours. You are the most incredibly unique, highly sought-after individual alive. It sounds like absolute paradise, right? Enjoy that legendary VIP status while it lasts, buddy, because after a few weeks, harsh reality is going to hit. Once the initial shock completely wears off, global leaders and scientists will come to a terrifying realization. Humanity is teetering on the brink of extinction. Without reproduction, our entire species has an expiration date. Roughly 150,000 people pass away every single day across the globe due to natural causes. If absolutely no new babies are born, the human race will simply age out and quietly vanish from the universe. Congratulations! You are no longer just an average guy, you are the sole biological savior of the human race. The ultimate survival of Homo sapiens rests entirely on your fragile shoulders. Talk about performance anxiety. You would be officially declared the most valuable global asset. Forget freedom, your vital government property. They would immediately lock you away in a highly secure, ultra-luxurious bunker to ensure your absolute safety. your brand new, exhausting full-time job, providing the genetic material needed to repopulate the entire planet. Since you are the only biological source of sperm, you'll need to produce massive, industrial-level quantities. Medical science tells us that average male sperm counts have actually been steadily declining since the 70s. Severe pollution, chronic stress, highly processed diets, and bad habits have taken a toll on modern fertility. To rapidly fix this, top scientists will put you on the strictest, most intense health regimen known to mankind. You'll be doing intense, grueling daily workouts to naturally boost your testosterone and overall physical stamina. You will be practically force-fed massive doses of vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc to keep your swimmers healthy. Your daily diet will consist of premium, libido-boosting foods. Get ready to eat an absolute mountain of oysters. And if you thoroughly enjoy a cold beer or a smooth glass of whiskey, say goodbye. Alcohol is strictly forbidden. Any chemical substance that could even slightly negatively impact your fertility will be completely, totally banned. Repopulating the entire Earth with just one single guy sounds mathematically impossible, but history gives us hope. Look at the legendary Genghis Khan. This historical figure spread his DNA so widely across Asia, it's terrifying. He had countless partners, and his numerous descendants continued the family tradition of extreme reproduction. One of his sons alone reportedly had 40 legitimate sons. The raw genetic math involved is actually staggering. A perfectly healthy male can produce up to 70 million sperm cells in a single day. That's a lot of potential. In a highly controlled, optimized clinical setting, that daily output is enough to fertilize multiple candidates. If perfectly optimized through artificial insemination, you could theoretically father 3,000 kids a year. Of course, the surrogate mothers would be carefully selected from different countries to ensure global diversity. But you definitely can't retire anytime soon. You have to keep this up until your firstborn sons come of age. You're looking at a solid, grueling 14-year grind before the next generation of males can take over the job. And even then, surviving humanity faces a massive, absolutely terrifying biological roadblock, the inbreeding trap. Since every single new child on Earth comes from your exact same DNA, genetic diversity drops to practically zero. Severe inbreeding occurs when closely related individuals reproduce, combining dangerously similar genetic codes. The medical results are devastating: high risks of blindness, deafness, severe physical malformations, and more. Unfortunately, for the first few early generations, humanity would suffer heavily from these tragic genetic defects. It would take centuries of careful, meticulous genetic tracking to slowly dilute your DNA and stabilize the pool. Leading experts calculate that you need a minimum of 98 healthy individuals to prevent severe inbreeding. Starting a stable, thriving global population from literally one single person is a genetic nightmare of epic scale. Sounds like way too much overwhelming pressure, right? Well, you can finally relax. This scenario is impossible. However, humanity actually barely survived a massive, real-life genetic bottleneck around 6,000 years ago. Due to extreme, violent climate shifts and ecological disasters, the global male population severely plummeted. During that ancient, terrifying crisis, there was roughly only one reproducing man for every 17 women alive. We miraculously bounced back from that, but being the absolute last man on Earth? That's a whole different game. So, the absolute, next time you wish you were the only guy in the world, remember the oysters. Thanks for watching.